All right, so we're on day 3 of carving the plaster form. And today, gonna fix the form a little bit and get into opening up that interior space. All right, so I'm taking a little break here in the chiseling. At the most critical point, I am starting to break through. And what I realize is this is solid mass, and I gotta keep some of this connected because I'm worried about how strong it'll be once I break it apart. But I thought it would be a good time to take a pause and then show you some finishing techniques. So we'll do that with the sandpaper. Make sure you wear a dust mask at this part because there's a lot of dust when you're sanding. Start with the drywall sanding screen. This is going to remove a lot of the material and get the surface very smooth. You could totally stop there if you wanted to, but if you open them up like this, a little bit easier to get interior. And again, if you didn't get a drywall sanding screen, you can stop by and get one. So as you can see, that starts to get smooth. Compare that to the other side. Taking the surface layer off. Okay. Now, sandpaper. The grit refers to how large the pieces of sand are. So this is a 60 grit sandpaper. It's very rough. And this is good for removing material. So 60 grit sandpaper, good for removing material. I always start with the 60, get it nice and even. Okay. And then the next grit I'm going to use is a 120 grit. Okay. And that's a little bit less rough. I'll get those little lines removed. And you can see it really starts to get super smooth. Again, you could probably stop there, but I'm going to go one more. I'm going to go to the 220. I can go all the way down to like a 400 if I wanted to. Get really smooth. Okay. The smooth is very nice on the plaster. Looks good. People find it very satisfying. Okay, this is the 220 grit. Okay, 220 is the smallest one I'm going to use on this one. And that's to take off all your surface scratches for the most part. Okay, and I'll get super smooth, very smooth on the plaster with the 220. So you can compare that to the side that has not been done, and you can see how much fuller that is. So I'm going to go back on time lapse. I'm going to remove a little bit more material on the inside, but I'm going to go very slow because I've opened it up now. I'm at the point where I have to work smart and I have to go slow and think about every move because I don't want to break it. So I'm about another hour into the project. I started to open up the interior and I spent a lot of time smoothing out the surface. So one of the things that starts to happen at this stage, really have to slow down. Also holding the piece with two hands, much more than I was. So if I'm sanding, got one hand on the piece and the other hand on the sandpaper so that I can control it. And I'm being careful about how I put it down. it's much more fragile now that it's opened up. So probably another day or two just to kind of start to get into the details will be next.